Welcome to Takeoff, a Points and Miles podcast by 10X Travel. I'm your host, Bryce. Today we have the full crew with us, Emily, Travis, Matt. How are we doing today?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. Having fun.
I'm doing good. I'm just hopping right in here. I'm speaking up on behalf of all our readers because I've seen it in the comments, even though we haven't posted the last episode yet. I've still seen all the comments, and everybody wants to know, Emily, what your thought was on European Fanta.
Oh. It was a delightful, zesty beverage.
Glad to hear it.
To be honest, Michael drank most of them. My husband drank most of them, but I did have a few sips. So,
And overall positive review.
Yeah.
Much better than what I don't know if you've even had American Fanta in the
Honestly,
last decade or ever, but so it is. But so you would agree that it is better?
Yeah. Just based on color alone, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
Hand size, maybe?
Yes.
I'm glad to hear it.
Thanks for cutting to the chase. I'm glad
Yep.
we had the chance to review that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm telling you, I've seen the comments. People are on pins and needles.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Should we where if anyone is intrigued, where can they find European Fanta other than Europe?
Well, I actually can buy it locally. I have a local Greek market here in town that literally imports it, and so I can go buy like a 2-liter anytime I want, quite literally. But unless you have a local legitimate Greek market in your town, you probably have to just get it on Amazon or something and pay an absorbent premium to have it.
Or given the premium on Amazon, which I'm hoping someone is looking up for me right now while I am talking and clearly delaying, so that way someone can
how many did you get, Emily? 6 or 8?
6.
I think it was like $20 for a 6-pack.
Okay, so for basically the award taxes on a flight to Europe, which is not the subject of today's episode, but you know what? I want to see someone. We will, I don't know, send a prize or something to whoever the first person to reach out to us showing that they logged a redemption in their My 10X redemption tracker for a flight to Europe to get Fanta. You just have to title the trip European Fanta, and then during your trip, take a picture with some European Fanta. I don't know. Something to prove that you got your Fanta.
Maybe send some to us. I don't know. Yeah.
Task all of a sudden.
If there's anyone here that supports grocery shopping in Europe, it's me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, empty suitcase trip for French butter is imminent.
I'm on my last stick and looking to book a trip soon to reload. So you think I'm kidding?
The race is on. Matt is trying to beat you to the prize.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I'm hearing. And on that topic, a special shout out to those of you who are watching this on YouTube. You might notice I have a fun image behind me at the moment. Having some fun with the new Google AI image generation tools. We have a passionate debate scene in 1780s style oil painting of people who look a lot like us passionately debating about butter.
That's debatable.
That is debatable.
I don't believe we have.
This was not endorsed by any other participants. I think it's just fuzzy enough for me to not have to do that, but having some fun with it. So shout out to all of you who watch on video. I feel like we should probably get to the topic of the day, right? Fanta, butter? No, the real topic of the day, which we're going to be talking about premium cabin flights to Asia. All about them. Best ones to book, how to book them, what to look for, the challenges that come with award space, all of that. This is one of the more nuanced topics that we're going to see in Points and Miles because you have a lot of moving parts trying to accomplish one of the really best outcomes you can look for in Points and Miles. These are some of the best products you're going to find anywhere in the sky. A lot of people looking for these, using tools to grab award space quickly. There's a lot of challenges to be aware of. So we're going to go through all of those. But if your bucket list includes Japan for cherry blossom season or Bali in a private villa or eating dumplings in Taipei night market, this is the episode for you. Before we dive right into that, real quick survey. How many of you have actually flown premium cabin to Asia before? Or I guess just flown to Asia before on Points and Miles, period, because I want to hear the horror stories as well. But premium cabin would be a good highlight.
Yeah, I have multiple times.
I've flown a premium cabin through Asia en route to Australia. That doesn't count, though. I never entered the country.
We'll count it.
Any country.
We'll count it.
Okay. There you go.
I have flown to Thailand in the very back of the plane for like 35 hours. So, I don't think I can raise my hand for this one.
Was it at least on points, I hope?
Yeah. That was my first points trip.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I remember, of course. And now you've been shown the light of premium cabin bookings. And anyone who's ever flown to the Pacific Ocean before probably knows why we're focusing on the premium cabin stuff. Usually the idea of doing that in economy, especially if you're traveling with others, particularly children, sounds like torture. So this is really where a lot of people end up. And we're going to hope to answer all those questions today and make it a little bit easier for you. So before we dive in, another quick aside, as always, if you're new to Points and Miles, this episode will be confusing until you check out episodes 1 through 6 of the show, learn the basics, and join our Facebook group where we now have over 400,000 travelers trading tips every day, lamenting about awards-based Asia, and more importantly, sharing awesome wins. We've seen a few of those lately. We're going to highlight one in particular at the end of this episode. And if you want help booking your next big trip, like the ones we're about to talk about, I would encourage you to join 10x Travel Plus or use our award booking service and let the pros find the flights for you. But for those of you who are a DIY mode, or I guess in my case, this was particularly relevant because I'm trying to book this exact kind of thing now, so love it. We're going to go through some of the best ways to do that. Yeah, and I think how many of us are in that camp now but weren't before preparing for the show and saw some cool stuff and are now like, oh, that looks exciting.
I almost didn't make it to the podcast. I was just going to go right to the airport.
Could how's the in-flight Wi-Fi? We could record this. Your seatmates would love you.
Yep.
Well, you don't have a seatmate if you're in certain premium cabins.
Maybe a suite mate, depending on who you're flying with. Yeah. Back an extra European Fanta form.
Yeah. It gets real tempting when you're looking to provide some real life examples for redemptions you can take, and you're like, well, next week I might be free.
Hashtag do it for the pod, as they say.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into probably the most important thing that folks want to know right now. Best programs for booking Asia premium cabins, prices that you can kind of expect to pay, things to know, award availability, highlights, etc. We'll start with what I would maybe say is like the unicorn among unicorns, booking ANA via Virgin Atlantic. You have like the awesome combination of incredible in-flight product, pretty good, really good deal with Points and Miles. I guess I'm saying pretty good because it used to be better, but even still, now it's incredible.
Slightly devalued, but
yeah,
still
slightly
insane.
devalued, but still incredible, but pretty complicated. So you can book business class, first class flights, I guess, or economy too. We're going to stick to the premium cabin stuff here on ANA from a handful of U.S. destinations to Tokyo via Virgin Atlantic. That was a mouthful. So this is a partner booking on an airline that a lot of you may have never heard of or encountered before, but it is perhaps the best way to fly to Asia, particularly if you're using on Points and Miles. And you can book business class seats for as little as like 52,000 to 60,000 points per person each way, depending on where you originate in the US. That's going to be a theme throughout this episode. First class, you're looking at 72,500 to 85,000 points each way. Still a steal. And Virgin Atlantic points, which are well talked about on this podcast, are quite easy to earn because they're a transfer partner of, if not literally every major bank program, virtually all of them. So pretty easy to earn this amount of points. Yeah, enough. Like you listener or watcher who's seeing this right now, you probably have enough points to book this right now if you can find the award space and go through the process. And now that's where things get kind of tricky. So to book this, you can book nonstops only, which Virgin Atlantic, I believe, only serves Chicago, Houston, LA, New York, San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. So might have to reposition. Trust me, for this, it's fine.
Technically Honolulu as well. Don't forget our
yes.
The flying Honu.
Yes, the old reposition halfway to the destination.
This is having to figure this out on the fly. What about Canadian and...
I was thinking you could probably still get to Vancouver and Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
You've got our gateways.
Mexico City and Vancouver. I don't see Toronto on there as well.
Oh, that's surprising. Okay.
Yeah. Worth a shout out for Mexico City and Vancouver as options, too.
Yeah, really closer than some of these other options here that are, within the United States. Thank you. So this award space will open to ANA members about 351 days ahead of travel, but for the Virgin angle, that's going to open about 331 days out. So you got to plan ahead. And the award space with this particular program, as well as pretty much all the ones we're going to talk about here, is where things get kind of dicey. You're generally going to only see like one award seat released that early, if you even see it at all. These things are snapped up quickly, sometimes two on a very, very lucky day. And then you might see some of it appear very last minute. But if you're doing the classic, like 6 months ahead of booking, like I finally got my points, or 6 months ahead of the trip, let's go and do this. That's kind of the doldrums. It's going to be difficult to find that space. You're going to want to look on probably United.com is going to be your best place to search. You need to find Saver Space, again, on those direct flights. And if you find that, you have to call Virgin to book, which we talked about how much we love their customer service and hold music. Not a bad experience. But by jumping through all the steps, you can book a product that is absolutely incredible. I've flown this myself. It's admittedly been a few years now. Product has been refreshed on most of these planes. It was still fantastic back in the day. I believe that Travis had a more recent experience with at least business class on ANA, maybe first.
I've had to cancel a number of first on ANA, but I have flown.
Sore subject.
Yeah, sore subject. Thanks for rubbing it in, Bryce.
Matt rubbed it in. I was just teeing it up here, man. I was just keep the blame, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't remember which episode it is, but ANA's new business class has been by far my favorite. Even if you get their old one, it's still pretty comfortable. I had it on I guess you'd call it a medium haul flight. Super. I wouldn't hesitate to fly either one, but especially the new one. I'm looking for a trip next year that's probably going to touch Asia a bit, and it's one that I'm secretly hoping to find availability on. It's not looking great, but I'm hoping.
Are you ahead of the 331 days out, or are you past that and hoping it shows up?
I'm probably right at the 330 days right now, actually.
Can you go?
Yeah.
And pause for a quick commercial break.
No, I'm headed down to the Solomon Islands, which typical routing is through Australia, and like it's just easier to find availability through Asia to get to Australia. So, but it's not working right now, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, not an uncommon experience when trying to book this sort of thing, and many others that we're going to talk about here. But it can be done.
At all of these, yeah. So
yeah, like even we look at this, and this is even a bit overwhelming to us, but it certainly can be done. It really, most weeks in the Facebook group and the Friday Brags, we're seeing someone book like premium cabin to Asia, and talking about it, and it really is like worth the effort. ANA is an incredible product. You know, when I flew it, I remember that one of the first thoughts I had when I was shown my seat is that if this seat was in a Lazy Boy store, they would say this is too big and ridiculously comfortable for us to sell. It's just outrageously big. And really the thing I guess that's probably best about ANA, or what they're most known for, is the food. They might have the best food in the sky. You have like the American option, which is pretty good. But if you go with the Japanese multi-course dinner, oh man, prepare to have your mind blown with food on an airplane. That's not something most people get to experience. Loved every minute of that. Fantastic service, really just above and beyond everyone else, and easily the best way to fly over the Pacific, especially if using points and miles.
I believe the TV in the first class suites is like a 42-inch TV, which is like also insane.
I
think that was the size
like
of my
4 feet from it, right?
Exactly.
It's like an IMAX.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's most definitely bigger than the first TV I had in my first apartment. So
it's like, excuse me, flight attendant, are we allowed to take the TVs with us, or just
does that come with the pajamas?
That would be
Right,
awesome.
yeah.
I will say one to maybe challenge that comfort, which is another way that you can get to Asia. ANA has my favorite business class, but my favorite first class has been Cathay Pacific. That seat is so comfortable. It's like, even flying first in business class, if you've done it, you know that the quality of sleep you get still is not necessarily the same as on the ground. I overslept what I planned to on Cathay Pacific so deep and heavily that I can't imagine ANA's first being more comfortable than that.
That's what happens when you drink 2 bottles of Krug, Travis.
Oh man.
That.
So
The thing about fantastic service is you do have the risk of just your glass is never more than half empty. So,
yeah. So if you're looking to do that, fly Cathay, most people are booking that with American or Alaska. But American is usually kind of the way that people like to go now. 70,000 points each way in business, or 110,000 in first, just kind of depending on where you're going.
What's the availability for those look like? I remember at least over the last couple of years, it's been spotty.
It used
spotty.
to be really reliable.
Really wide open. Yeah,
It used to be very, very reliable, but over the past few years, it seems to have disappeared, particularly for partners. I think you have better luck booking through Cathay's own program, which
Asia Miles.
Yeah, Asia Miles, which there are some banks that transfer there, so it is possible. They typically charge a little bit more than you do through AA, but it definitely seems to have restricted a bit more to their own program, rather than to partners, unfortunately.
Womp womp. Yeah, I feel like that's one of those names that we used to talk about all the time in Points and Miles. It just kind of fell out. And then I see it here on the show notes, and I'm like, oh, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. I wonder, like, whatever happened to that? They pulled their word space.
Yeah. I do remember when I was doing a lot of the award bookings, trying to search for anything directly through Cathay Pacific's website was a nightmare. So yeah, ideally booking it through a partner would be the easier route to go, but without the availability there, it's definitely a tough one to crack.
Yeah.
But if you sleep well.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Both in their business or first. Their business seats aren't anything spectacular. It's kind of a stock off the shelf seat, but it's the same one that American uses. But the level of service that you're going to get is going to be much higher. And honestly, that's a good seat. And when I say it's the one American uses, it's not the new one with the doors. It's the old one that you're most likely to find on an American flight.
Indeed.
So
but if you have... sorry, go ahead, Travis.
I was going to say, if you want to find those, you can check, if you want to do the searches, search on American's website, Alaska's website, or British Airways website. Partner availability should show up on at least one of those. And I want to take a second to plug, because I moved us along too fast. Kind of back on the ANA one. Levon actually did a great YouTube video that we've got on our YouTube channel showing you how to search for the ANA award flights that you can book with Virgin Atlantic miles. So we'll link that down in the show notes if you really want a good in-depth tutorial for that. But when it comes to searching for the Cathay availability, there's a handful of places to look, and hope you find some.
Indeed, but if you are searching for premium cabin flights to Asia on AA's website, you might instead find what might be the second best choice, in my opinion, to fly to Asia. I think Emily's going to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is me playing moderator and bring us back up in the notes. Like, here's the part that we just jumped over.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to take the natural progression when I can, and I saw an opening, so I went for it. Even if it wasn't necessarily in order.
You roam free. I'll kind of steer everyone back, and we'll do it. So, anyway, Emily, take it away.
JL is a good one, especially if you've got American Airlines miles. I believe it's $60K in business, or $80 in first. There's generally like way more availability on this option rather than Cathay, but generally speaking, last minute's going to be your better option. I've been poking around just in prep for this episode, using a couple of the award search tools, and if anyone wants to go next week to Japan, there's a lot of economy, there's not a lot of business, but
and I was getting excited for a second.
I know, but I'll keep an eye out for you.
Next week at the time of recording, so for those
Right.
of you listening, if you have a time machine,
Yeah.
Run it back.
Yeah. And no, there's no upcharge for the time machine either. So.
I saw a fair amount of that too in my research. Like actually, next week, business class, it was still there like an hour ago.
Yeah.
60,000 points from JFK, and it was like every day for the entire first week of September. So I quickly opened the kids' school calendar and looked at our work
Right.
calendar, and I'm like, and then I don't have any AA miles. That's a problem. But yeah.
I've been on a journey to rebuild my American Airlines miles so that I could book something like this if it pops up.
It's like torture. You see it in the window, can't buy it, you know.
Good look,
Yeah.
but you can't touch.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
the nice thing is now there's it's a new transfer partner for one of the major banks, so that kind of
Yeah.
makes it a
Helps
little
open it
bit more accessible than it's been in the
a great
past.
point.
Yeah.
Now
I
the awards
think
makes it even
actually-
harder to find.
They listened to our podcast. We told them about this specifically in one of the episodes. We said this would be a great move for your business. And look
You're
at that.
welcome, world. You are welcome.
Yep. Here we are.
Yeah. JAL, I feel like, is one we see more frequently than others with our readers booking. Usually, I guess anecdotally, I see like the JFK to Tokyo route of 1 or 2 seats. It's rare to find more than that. But booking with AA miles, that's an incredible deal. And the product itself, I don't think any of us here have flown Japan Airlines yet. Is that correct?
No.
Oh, that's why Emily got voluntold.
Yes. Yeah.
You're out of office
What-
next week.
Yeah.
They're known for a great product. It's got like a huge, like, suite, big seat. I would compare it to A&A based on what I'm seeing in the photos and hearing
Looks
from our
nice.
readers as well. Yeah, it's definitely in that same tier.
I'd fly it.
But if you see it, you have to pounce on it. Like it's so, and that's true of really everything we're talking about. These move so quickly, especially a lot of these alert tools, that folks like us are sitting there waiting for these things to drop. So you probably don't have time to, check the school calendar, text your family, coordinate everything, grab it as soon as you can, because it's going to disappear quite quickly. But great choice.
Yeah.
Next up, there's a kind of an off the wall one here.
Yeah.
But
in the
too good a deal not
premium
to say.
premium cabin episode, I'm going to talk about economy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
We'll hear
why
it.
not? I feel
This
like you got to throw it out there. I mean, this is again at least another one of the last minute deals that I'm finding, but it could be last minute by the time you're listening to this episode. It might still be there. There's not usually a lot of good options to use your Delta miles on, and that's why I had to include this one, because when I was browsing through all the availability, there were a ton of options to Taipei on Delta Economy for 32,000 points each way. Even less if you've got one of the Delta cards, because they have a discount for card members. So I think that might be, I'm prepared to be wrong, but how cheaply can you get to Asia from the US in economy?
Yeah,
Can you
well,
get
especially with Delta miles, that's, I ran a few sample search myself for premium cabin stuff, and they wanted like 400,000
Yeah.
miles one way.
Yeah. Well, that's the
It's
risk.
like, Yeah.
So if you can fold yourself in half and sit in economy for however long this flight is, 13 hours and 15 minutes, then that's just the option for you.
Yeah, and that's from Seattle, I believe, here in the
Yeah.
screenshot, which for
Yeah.
those of us who don't live toward the western side of the country is already a few hours into flight. So
Your flight, your if you were to literally fly from Columbus to Seattle to Taipei, I don't know if you could do that on one itinerary, but like your Columbus to Seattle flight would probably cost more Sky Miles than your Seattle to Taipei.
no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Delta does occasionally have like these rare flash sales that you see sometimes to Asia, usually on short notice, usually only out of a few select hubs. But I've seen some before for like 120 to 150,000 Sky Miles for like Detroit or Minneapolis to Tokyo in Delta One. But like all things redeeming Delta points, there's just no predictability to it at all. And that makes it impossible to plan and really use.
Yeah.
And almost like it's nice if you stumble across it, but don't bank on it.
Yeah. But if you're already going to Seattle, there's other options from Seattle that you can look at. I think it's not as well known. Is it StarLux? They fly from Seattle. They fly to a few places now, right?
They do, yeah, mostly on the West Coast. And this is the carrier that I'm kind of most excited about and have been wanting to fly, especially to Asia, because that's pretty much the only place they fly. It's small. This airline, if you haven't heard of it, they were, I don't remember the logistics of it, but they were basically had announced their launch in like January of 2020 or December of 2019 or something like that. And as you might expect, not a great time to fly. So they got delayed a couple years because of COVID. Don't quote me on the timing. It was somewhere around there. I don't have the exact date. But they relaunched or pushed back and delayed their launch until, I want to say 2023-ish or so. And they were originally just flying from Taipei to like LAX and San Francisco, kind of alternating or something like that. But now you can fly them from LAX, San Francisco, Seattle, Ontario, California, Phoenix. And then they recently, literally as of a couple weeks ago, announced a code share with Alaska. So you can continue on, obviously, to cities that Alaska services on code share tickets. Potentially for the same price, actually probably for the same price. And if you're asking about pricing, it's 75,000 Alaska miles one way per person for business class each way. So that's a pretty darn good price point, and I believe availability on StarLux is actually halfway decent. Like you're not having to look for a unicorn like you are on some of these. The sort of downside is they only fly to Taipei. And so, obviously we preach here, just get across the ocean you're trying to go to and then carry on, which one of the nice things about Alaska is their super flexible stopover policy on award tickets. So fly to Taipei, stay for a couple of days, then carry on to wherever you're trying to go, depending on the distance traveled. The total distance traveled for the ticket will dictate the award fare or whatever. I believe 7,000 miles is the cutoff for this 75,000 mile ticket. So if the total distance flown is in that band, then you won't have to pay any more mileage for that additional flight, which is kind of nice. But yeah, this is one I really want to do. We can maybe roll some pictures of StarLux here. Yeah. They have just kind of gotten glowing reviews. It is a first class feel in a business class cabin is kind of my general I haven't experienced it myself, but what I've seen people that have talked about the experience is pretty top notch.
Yeah, I had found some availability to Taipei on it for my trip next year, but they don't go down to Australia, or certainly not the Solomon Islands either. So that was a bit of
it's just a repositioning flight to Taipei.
That is a long
you're just getting
flight.
Across the ocean.
Getting from Taipei to Brisbane is like 9.5 hours. It is. I know that it's such an American thing, but going from Australia, New Zealand, even to like Southeast Asia is so much farther than.
I will tell you that firsthand experience. When I previously mentioned we flew from JFK to Seoul to Sydney. I pretty much told Ashley that we could do it because the flight from Seoul to Sydney was like 4 or 5 hours. No, it's like 10 hours. Oh. It's way further than I thought it was. It doesn't look that far in that round globe you're on, but if you think about basically New York to Buenos Aires or something like that, it's too much dissimilar. Yeah. Tell me about it. So I can relate to that firsthand.
Although in defense of Americans, I'm sure that all of us have at some point met like a group of usually Europeans who will tell you about how they want to visit America for 7 days and see New York, Chicago, Orlando, Las Vegas, LA, and San Francisco, and they're just going to drive between them. And it's like, buddy, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
StarLux looks really nice. I think it's probably competing with, I never know if it's EVA or EVA. I usually go with EVA.
I like that better.
EVA, which means it's probably wrong.
Same with TAP or TAP, Portugal.
Nope, it's the letters EVA because EVA is an acronym for Evergreen Airways. According to Google's AI overview that it just gave me really quickly.
It's probably wrong.
I don't.
Yeah, so
take that for what it's worth.
That could be wrong, but they're also based out of Taipei and known to have a really good quality service as well. I mean, I guess all of the airlines out of there. Isn't it Air China that also flies out of Taipei as well?
I
News
don't
to me.
know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, EVA and StarLux do. But EVA is part of Star Alliance. So you'll get access to some different partners and some other ways of booking those if anyone happens to know any.
And if you are very into Hello Kitty, then you'll feel right at home on EVA.
There we go.
Because
I
a
was
lot of
hoping you were
their
there.
Yeah.
like themed, I don't know if it's on all of their flights, but at least on some special ones, it is Hello Kitty the entire deal.
Yeah.
Amenity kits, inside of the plane, service, all that stuff. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Imagine booking that flight and not knowing that.
Not knowing, yeah, just showing it.
You just show up like little cutesy kitty stuff on everything. Like, what?
Yeah,
It's
they're
one of
good.
those,
But
I'm
yeah,
not a Hello Kitty person, but like feel that similar to ANA's Star Wars planes,
Yep,
which is
correct.
not done to the same level. I need to do it just for the sake of doing it.
Exactly. But yeah, speaking of Star Alliance to Asia, Air Canada's Aeroplan, this might take the cake for full flexibility of all the options we've mentioned today. You're talking price point $75K to $115K in business class one way per person, with pricing typically dictated by which coast of the U.S. you're on. Yes, that's more, but you're essentially paying a slight premium for availability on the number of different Star Alliance carriers that offer flights to to Asia. And you can also book stopovers this way, typically for about 5K extra miles. So not quite as good as Alaska, like we mentioned earlier, but still very, very reasonable. And Air Canada's website, I use pretty regularly. You could also use United, both Star Alliance search engines. But both of those are really, really good at easy to use and showing a ton of availability, although Singapore Airlines won't show their availability on either of those websites. But the huge plus for Aeroplan, which is Air Canada's loyalty program, is they are literally similar to who we mentioned before. I'm drawing Virgin Atlantic. Yeah, they are a transfer partner of virtually every flexible currency out there. So super easy to earn those points, and it's not infrequent that we'll see a transfer bonus to Aeroplan from some of these programs. So you can quickly wipe out the sort of slightly premium pricing on those just by taking advantage of a transfer bonus.
Well, and one nice thing there as well, I mentioned EVA, but there's other airlines, Asiana, Thai. I mean, ANA is one of them, United, of course. But one that we haven't talked about is Air India, which I kind of want to take a second to highlight, because a lot of the Asian airlines that we talk about are kind of handling the eastern side of Asia, but Asia's really big, and there's a whole other side to get access to, and especially if you're wanting to go to India. Air India is one of the only airlines that has nonstops between the US and India, and award availability actually does tend to be pretty good. Now, if you read any
Check the reviews on
reviews
these, though. Yeah.
about Air India, you might be...
It's tough.
It might be a little tough, but like getting there nonstop, and they are flying some of their newer planes now, which I've heard they took
new
delivery of some
A350 they have.
A350s.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think they're flying those to Newark right now. So between pretty good availability and that, like, you might have some service issues, but getting nonstop to India from the US, you're not going to have many other options.
If you do book one of the A350s on Air India, just pray for no equipment changes. You would be a tough start or finish to your trip if you get on some of their older products.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least you lay flat, though. I feel like that's 80% of the perk of these long flights. Like, service, great. Icing on the cake. Lie flat is what you need.
Yeah. The nice thing is I think on the Newark route specifically, the A350 might be like one of the only planes that can handle that. So your odds of an equipment
You'll just get canceled instead.
are pretty low. Yeah. But definitely something to consider, unless, especially for that Western side, your better options are typically going to be going through the Middle East or Turkey, Turkish Airlines, Emirates, Qatar, Etihad. The downside you're going to have for any of those is award availability. I don't know the last time I've seen Q Suite availability myself.
I think my grandpa saw it once. That's how rare it feels lately. Yeah. He told me about it.
Yeah.
But B, you can, like, Emirates is an option, but their taxes and fees have just gotten so absurd that it makes British Airways look reasonable on some of their flights. I think for some of their flights, I searched like Hong Kong and it was like $1,300 in business class for the taxes and fees. That's on top of the miles. One of the banks is dropping them as a transfer partner. Another decreased the transfer ratio, and
I think they restricted first to only
The
their
Emirates,
program.
the Emirates heydays are over.
They put up walls everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really, really bad idea for them. I think.
Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if in a couple years they try to course correct. Maybe not even a couple years. Maybe in a couple quarters.
Yeah. So those are certainly like ways of going. Again, especially if you're looking to go to the western side of Europe as well. That will probably be faster than going through these other airlines. Certainly an option to consider as well.
Yep. And just one more on the list there. I'll pass this one off to you, Travis. Singapore Airlines. And this is the one that comes with an interesting quirk that a lot of people trip up on, but I'll let you tee it up.
Yeah. I mean, Singapore is generally regarded as one of the best airlines, and for good reason. I think Matt and I have both flown it.
Oh, yeah.
I've not flown it in first, so what I can speak to business is it's pretty comfortable, nice food, good service. Like, it's everything.
Well,
you
this
really
might be. I was going to say, this might be the only time I could ever claim to have flown a first class product that you haven't flown.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let me brush my shoulders off for a second here.
Well, was it worth it?
Oh, it was great. It was just too short of a flight. I only did it to Europe.
Yeah.
So it was just way
the
too
JFK
short.
to Frankfurt.
Oh, yeah.
Frankfurt, yeah. The good old days. They don't fly it anymore. This was on the A380, so it was on the Singapore suites, but now they just fly the, I assume, 777, which doesn't have the suites.
Yeah. Womp womp. But either way, their business class, they tend to actually have pretty decent availability, but only through their own program. Matt mentioned earlier you won't see Singapore on United or Air Canada, and that's because they pretty much don't. They just don't give their availability out to partners. So you're stuck with their pricing, which does tend to come at a little bit of a premium. Right now, 107, call it 100 to 120,000 points each way in business class between the US and Singapore. There was a recently announced devaluation. Again, not that bad. It's just changing to be 112,500 up in business class. It just depends on where you start in the US. So not that bad. I mean, call it a 10% increase, 5 to 10%. You can fly from a number of US destinations, LAX, San Francisco, Seattle, the New York airports.
Which I believe is the longest flight in the world, right? Newark to Singapore?
Newark,
Yeah. Newark to Singapore. Longest. They don't even have economy on that one. So there's only premium economy and business.
Yeah. 18 something hours. Sheesh.
Yeah. So
when you're
bookable.
When you're booking those, don't they you got to be fast out of the gate, otherwise you're just going to see a bunch of waitlisted options.
Yeah,
that's my experience with it.
Yeah, they open their availability almost a full year, like 355 days out, and typically 1 to 2 seats. They'll sometimes add more, like within 14 days, but they tend to be here's what we've got, take it or leave it. The good news is, again, virtually every major bank transfers to them. The downside is it can take like 2 days for your points to transfer. So it can take some time for those points to show up. And since you can't really book it anywhere else, you're just kind of hoping they show up before someone else was trying to get that.
That's the fun
Yeah.
race, isn't it?
That's the quirk. Yeah, 2 days, and they have eliminated their official policy on holding tickets. There's some anecdotal reports that if you ask nicely and keep asking, that people have been able to get a hold, but in most cases that I've seen, they haven't. So you have that kind of 2-day period of just sheer anxiety, waiting to see if your points show up before the ticket disappears, and that's never fun.
Yeah. So,
But if it works,
I think,
it's great.
Yeah. I think we've run through most of our popular options at this point, and it sounds like at least 3 of you. I'm not counting myself because I don't have any plans to go to Asia in the near future, but it sounds like you guys do. So what are you eyeing of these options?
Whatever
I'm looking-
gets me where.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
I mean, after hearing all the details in this, it's like options is just what's available at the time. Not necessarily you're going to find a bunch of these and pick and choose.
What can you book and then build a trip around, basically?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mine's like less to Asia. It's more, I realize that
Yeah.
my routing is probably going to go through there. Right now, if I'm being honest, what I'm looking at right now is like a hybrid. I'm thinking of doing StarLux to Taipei and then EVA flies from Taipei down to Brisbane. And I've seen some premium economy on that route. So I'm thinking of breaking it up that way. It's maybe not my...
I don't know why you're not just taking Fiji Airlines to Fiji and then flying from Fiji to the Solomon Islands.
So it's
Surely
funny.
that's a route.
I actually that is option number 2 that I'm eyeing right now.
Okay.
Because I can book it with Alaska, but it doesn't go
Yep.
through Asia, so it doesn't really fit the spirit of the.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
That, yeah.
Way to
That
stay
is-
on
that-
brand. In
that
part of the
actually
curriculum
is
here. Yeah.
one that I'm looking at weirdly enough.
And just so the record, I didn't just pull that out of my head. I just literally pulled up Google Maps because I was like, I'm not sure I could really pinpoint the Solomon Islands on the map other than out in the middle of the
Yeah.
ocean. And I looked, and it's like, oh, Fiji's not far away. Surely just like an hour flight.
Whoa.
Just
Yeah,
like
that's
just like
that
Seoul is a
Matt
couple
does
hours
not
from.
know.
I know. That was a joke based on my previous Seoul to Sydney. Just didn't let it fully develop. Come on now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Too early on the trigger there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got this impulsive feeling. We're talking about like a premium cabin award space to Asia, and I hear something, I just jump on it because that's pretty
Yep.
much what you have to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick. Kind of when to book these, availability trends. This is a very common question we get from our readers. It's difficult to kind of predict, but we will give you kind of our best guidance as to what we've been seeing lately and historically. So as you've heard for a number of these programs that we talked about, a lot of them follow a general trend of releasing like 1 or 2 seats about a year out, just shy, 350 to 355 days out. Those are usually snapped up very, very quickly and are hard to get. You try it, be there on the moment that Eras Tour tickets drop, but good luck. So they'll drop them way in advance or last minute, like within 14 days. These are the ones we're kind of referencing earlier that we were seeing in our show prep. And those are the ones that are super salacious because it's like, wow, every single day next week is wide open, but who travels like that? You will occasionally see these just random drops, like in the middle of that time frame, completely unpredictable, and sometimes substantial drops of award space. But that is like throwing chum into a piranha tank. Like it is just pulled apart and like taken by people that fast. So if you see it, you're gonna want to grab it as quickly as you can.
Well, inevitably, what will happen too is you'll have fixed travel dates. You'll already gotten, your time off approved and all that kind of stuff, and you will potentially be banking on this happening. And then for your dates, it's not going to happen, but around your dates on the calendar, a week before, a week after, it's going to happen. So, a word of caution: if you are trying to spot patterns like this and essentially banking on making a trip happen because it happens. Unfortunately, I have bad news that more often than not in this case, it's not going to happen for your fixed dates if you try to live dangerously like that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What we see a lot of readers do is like book a backup option. If you have a lot of points, you book something that kind of works, and then keep checking for one of these to open up. Grab it if it does, cancel the other one, pay a small fee if you have to. But yeah, Matt's absolutely correct. If you're banking on that last minute option, that's like rolling up to like some stadium hoping to buy tickets outside for a reasonable price. Like you just can't count on that. And I wish you could, but
Yeah.
just can't. So yeah, you get the way out space. You have the close-in space there. You particularly want to book way out for ANA, Singapore, Cathay, if you ever find that. Really, if you find it, send us a screenshot just to prove it still exists. For close-in, this is EVA, Asiana, JL. Sometimes, in fact, including right now in my show notes, I actually saw an email come through with one of these deal services, like, "Oh, wide open space on this exact thing that you're researching." I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. See what I can't do it."
Yeah.
You want to be aware of some seasonality for travel to Asia. Spring is a very popular time for cherry blossom season, particularly in Japan. Same with fall for the leaves changing in the foliage. And the holiday season as well is going to have high demand, but overall not overwhelmingly bad. And you do want to avoid some holidays that might not be as common here in the United States. These are things like Lunar New Year, which tends to happen late January to mid-February. Golden Week is in the spring, and some local holidays. But again, award space and availability seems to kind of dictate everything. Like if you see that to me is like the primary and really only decision factor in a lot of this, and you hope the rest of it kind of works out. There's a couple tools that you can use to make this a little bit easier. Tools like Seat Spy, Seats.Aero, Award Tool, Expert Flyer. You can set alerts for multiple U.S. city codes and try to find this space before anyone else. But as these tools like this become more and more popular, everyone else is kind of using them, so you almost have to, because when this space drops, you're not just going to serendipitously find it. It's going to be on everyone's alert, including all of us here on the podcast probably. I'm just waiting for like a ding on all of our computers, and we're like, wait, hold on.
Well,
and it gets snapped
you do
up
also have to recognize with these tools that they all update it. They're not live. You have to they all update at different intervals. So you might see availability in one tool and not in another, and it's because maybe the other tool updated 3 hours ago and the one you found it on is still looking at yesterday's data or something like that. So you do have to trust, search and verify with the actual partner to make sure it's still actually there. Yeah,
don't transfer those bank points out before that whole verification thing. Kind of important.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And also kind of to your own horn here, this is an ideal case for like an award booking service like ours. There are a lot of complexity to this. There's partner bookings. There's the strange award space drops. There's the kind of knowledge around how many seats tend to be released and when. Like if you're ever going to hire an expert, this is the time to do it. And I intend to do this myself here soon. Yes, shameless plug. But let us kind of do all the complex work for you. Our experts are doing this on a day-to-day basis and know what to look for quickly. Anything else on when to go award space stuff before we talk about kind of some superlatives, if you will?
Yeah, don't overthink it. If you find something that works for you, don't sleep on it.
Literally, don't sleep on it until you get on the plane.
Yeah, like if it fits most of the stuff that you want, like rough time frame, etc., like just book it while you can. Asia it's not impossibly hard, right? Like there's a lot of airlines that fly there. There's a ton of flights every day, but it's a far enough place to get to that if you find something good enough, I'd recommend. I mean, that's general advice with award travel, so maybe not anything particular to Asia, but don't wait too long to decide. Trust me, I've done that myself.
Especially if your points are in a good flexible program like Aeroplan or even like Alaska or America, depending on the currency you're using, you don't need to worry about having points sort of orphaned out there because you can use them if you were to cancel that. If you have them in Asia miles or Singapore miles or some of these other ones, maybe not so willy-nilly with it, just because those can sometimes be harder, not impossible to use for other stuff if it falls through. But just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and definitely don't post like a screenshot of the availability that you found like to our Facebook group and be like, oh, should I book this? Because
it's gone.
That's getting booked. Yeah. But if you want to email it to us for feedback, we'd be happy to take a look.
Precisely.
We might book it. Yeah. So kind of bringing it all together here at the end, I'm going to ask you all to weigh in on some kind of like superlatives, if you will, for options for flying to Asia and premium cabin. Best product overall. Ignore award availability, points, price. What's kind of the best product that you can look for in this scenario?
I mean, those pictures of Matt in the Singapore suites are hard to argue with.
Yeah, too bad that's just not a route. Like that plane's not on a U.S. to Asia route. But it would be sweet. I think the closest you can do is like Mumbai to Singapore. You can do London to Singapore, Sydney. There are a few sort of regional. Obviously, London's not regional, but But yeah, no U.S. to Singapore on the A380. But yes, that would be sick if so.
Yeah.
I would fly it again in a heartbeat.
I'd probably, out of what you can fly from the U.S., adding my own conditions here. Right now, as much as I love Cathay first, and I'd happily fly it again, I'd probably want to do ANAs first the most. And then in business, I'm still going to stick with ANA's business. So I guess ANA is the best product.
But if you choose Singapore, you get to stop the jokes from Matt about a product that you haven't tried yet. So do consider that in your answer as well, Travis.
Yeah, but it's not available. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Singapore Suites.
Yep. I think I'd probably go Japan Airlines first on this one. Comparable to ANA, but just what I see, especially the new product that they rolled out, is just incredible. And I haven't tried it yet, and I hope to.
I definitely want to try Delta Economy.
Yes.
Maybe Matt will try the StarLux one, and it'll be
That
up
would be
there
sweet.
too.
The problem is it's like a 5-hour repositioning flight just to pick up the flight. That one's hard to, slightly harder to justify for me on the East Coast.
Agreed.
Fair.
Agreed. How about next category, kind of like good value premium cabin options to Asia? The ones that aren't necessarily the true unicorns that are super hard to find, but available to most people and worth looking into.
ANA via Virgin Atlantic.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've got a curveball here for the good value one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Not one we even mentioned today.
Okay.
Zip Air is the low cost sort of partner, I believe, of JAL, Japan Airlines. Cannot book with points to my knowledge, but you can find business class flights for like $600-700 from LAX to one of the Tokyo airports. I'm not sure which one, or maybe both. So you talk about booking it in a portal with one of your travel portals with flexible points. Could be a potentially good value that way. Do note this is a no frills, low cost airline where, kind of like Ryanair, you literally pay for everything that you want on the flight. But in the good value department, to me, that's what kind of jumped out first.
Good find. Good find. Any more good value options to look for? More frequent award availability.
Hard to argue with my Delta Economy.
Yeah.
Good
I love
value
that.
for your
I love
Delta
that
points.
I love that sort of the underlying what we haven't mentioned or joke on that is that none of us have mentioned any of the U.S. carriers here for any of these as being good options for going to Asia.
Yeah.
Primarily
It's hard to compete.
I was primarily from a pricing standpoint, but for sure on the service side of things.
Oh yeah.
Asian carriers are just going to absolutely knock their socks off, and it's not even
No
comparable.
competition.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, it's almost another one of those moments in the hobby where you don't realize the difference until you try it, and then once you fly like an Asian carrier, you come back and suddenly all the domestic or even the carriers that serve Europe that you thought were like pretty good, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've seen the other side. This is mediocre. So be aware of that. I feel like I also have to give a mention to the family travel crowd. Asia on points is just notoriously difficult for family travel from a premium cabin perspective because of the way that they release the award seats, 1 or 2 at a time. If you have a family of 4 or 5 and you're trying to get all the seats and you're probably not looking to commit to 1 or 2 seats or split up or figure the rest out later, it's pretty tough. So that's where you probably go to a portal booking like Matt mentioned.
One other good value / sneaky item that we did not mention here as a part of the Hawaiian and Alaska merger. Hawaiians, Japan or Alaska Airlines, by way of the Hawaiian fleet, are really picking up their Japan route options. So something to look in mind there as they try to kind of start entering that market and ramp up competition there. Obviously, transfer partner options are none anymore, right? Yeah, exactly. So none, right? So none there, but a number of co-brand cards still at the time of recording here from both Alaska and Hawaiian. So you could earn some miles a little bit that way, but just kind of something to keep in mind there that may be a good option, and some decent business class seats themselves, especially the new Hawaiian 787's got a pretty nice business class.
Which I believe you've experienced yourself.
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
from
good.
Orlando. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, you haven't flown it, Travis? Oh,
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
I almost front ran the joke.
It's funny because one of my options that I have found for my trip next year is Hawaiian through Honolulu.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, well, in booking through, well, I wonder how that would work because it's, yeah, you should be able to book as a stopover through if you were to use Alaska Miles. I have to imagine. I haven't looked into the logistics of that since it's domestic, but that shouldn't matter with Alaska. Yeah, that should work. So that could be cool.
Add it to the list.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Any other key things that people should know about kind of just booking premium cabin travel to Asia as we kind of bring this show to a close? Kind of final thoughts, if you will.
Don't be afraid of like super long layovers in Asia if you're in a premium cabin. Overnight might be a little meh, but the Asia carrier lounges tend to be really, really nice. So spending a couple hours in some or even hopping between their different lounges is like not a bad thing either.
Or just exploring the airport. Like go to Singapore. You could spend a day in their airport just seeing all the stuff they have. So don't think of O'Hare when you think of, I'm going to be sitting around for 8 hours. Like no, most Asian, especially the big hubs, are super nice and have lots to do, like you're mentioning.
Yeah.
I love that you reach for O'Hare first. Just throw them right under the bus with no hesitation.
Bingo.
Well, there is a shameless plug here for the lounge finder in my 10X. If you're on one of these premium cabin trips to Asia and you've got layovers, make sure you check out the Trip Wizard part of that feature because you can plug in your whole itinerary and it'll tell you what lounges you might have access to, either from your ticket or from the cards that are in your wallet. You can kind of poke around there and you can lounge hop.
Good tip. The last one that I had here, which will segue us to the next section here, is that I know that a lot of this episode has sound like this is a very difficult puzzle that few people can solve. And that's partly correct. I'd say even like mostly correct. But it can be done. And if you put your efforts and focus into this, like it will happen at some point. And we want to highlight a particular listener who shared with us in the Facebook group. This is from Monet, who says, I just made my first business class redemption. Seattle to Singapore, June of 2026 on Singapore Airlines via Aeroplan. Just 87,500 points and $78. And this was also taking advantage of a 20% Air Canada transfer bonus that was available when I booked. Monet says, I've never flown business class before and I'm excited to be making it happen. So props to Monet. First business class booking is one of the more difficult ones that we talked about here, flying to Asia. But as I mentioned earlier, this is not so exceptionally rare that it's not doable. Like we see tons of our readers doing this. It can be done. There's a bit of a learning curve. Using an award booking service like ours is going to be definitely something you should consider in this case. But once you learn the nuances, it can be done. And when you make it happen, it's going to be an incredible trip on virtually all the carriers we're talking about.
Kudos on that in Singapore. That's going to be a great first one to experience. Unfortunately, I feel like some of your next ones may be downhill from there. Who knows? But maybe you kind of started in the upper echelon of some of the business class products and services.
Yep. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
10X travel. Well, that's going to wrap up this deep dive into booking premium cabin travel to Asia. So whether you're dreaming of dim sum in Hong Kong or hot springs in Hokkaido, we hope this gave you the roadmap and the motivation to make it happen. Don't forget to sign up for My 10X. That's our free tool that helps you track and manage all of your points and miles in one single place. Join our Facebook group, hang out with us and Monet, talk about your bookings to Asia on some of these products. There's over 400,000 people in there, and they are happy to answer your questions and share advice. Be sure to rate this podcast. Give us 5 stars. That's how it spreads the word, and I guess makes award availability a little bit more difficult. But do please still give us 5 stars, though. And if you are ready to take off in style, our award booking service makes all of this redemption easier. Linked in the show notes or at 10xtravel.com/award-booking. Thanks for listening today, and until next time, happy booking, happy travels from all of us at 10X Travel.